The Ron G Morning Show, every Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. only on WSAN Radio, the soul of America. As we say, take a bite out of Chicago. Good morning, and welcome back to the Ron G Morning Show, the soul of America and beyond. I'm your host, Ron G, and we have a special guest with us this morning. Joining us is Dr. Krystal Cross, owner of A Chicago Bite in Schertz, Texas. She is an entrepreneur, educator, and a community leader, and has created a space where great food, culture, and community of all come together. Dr. Cross, welcome to WSAN Radio.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Oh, it is nice to have you here, and we're not working today, and that's funny. So, for the listeners who may not heard about you for the first time, please introduce yourself and tell us, who is Dr. Krystal Cross?
Dr. Cross is a loving mom and the steward of a Chicago Bite. I don't like to call myself the owner because I feel like the restaurant business is a business that God gave to me. He gave me the skills and the hands, and it comes naturally. I never went to culinary arts school, but he gave me this business to steward. And so I do my best to try to steward it well. And so I don't like to call myself the owner because I feel like it's God's business. I'm just the steward of it.
I love that. Everybody has a story, and I know yours is one that will inspire a lot of people listening today. So, what inspired you to open Chicago Bite and bring authentic Chicago style food to this area?
So a Chicago Bite was not my dream, but it came to me in a dream, if that makes sense. So a Chicago Bite was given to me in a dream where I woke up and a Chicago Bite was in flashing lights. And I was like, God, is this what you're telling me to do? Because the doctorate degree came from education. So I have a EDD, a doctorate in education. I spent 17 years educating children and teachers alike. And I was a teacher for 12 back home in Chicago, and then I moved to Texas and became an assistant principal. I did that for 5 years when, I was becoming a little bit uncomfortable in the education realm, and God just placed on my heart and in my dream to open a restaurant. And that was the new direction that He was actually leading me in. Now, granted, it takes my godmother to really tell the story, of which I kind of just learned about this year, the full story behind why she would always say, you need to let people know that you've been cooking since you were 6 years old. But I didn't recall cooking since I was six, maybe about 9 or 10. But my godmother said she walked in the house one day and I was frying chicken and I was 6 years old. So I've always had hands to cook. And I've always loved to cook because I just like to eat, of course. And I had to feed my siblings, primarily my sister. So that's really why I came to open a restaurant in the San Antonio area.
Wow. So, your background is in education, but your
Hmm.
journey prepared you for entrepreneurship and
Yes,
owning a restaurant. You know,
right.
that's powerful because a lot of people do not realize how much faith, discipline, and vision it takes to build something from the ground up. And here you are, you did it. Which leads me to this question. What was the original vision of A Chicago Bite when you first opened the doors?
Well, it's so many people here in the San Antonio area, San Antonio primarily, but the surrounding areas, okay, Schertz, Converse, all of those different areas. But it's so many people that are, transplanted here, of course, because San Antonio is the military city, the military capital of the United States, so many military bases and so many people coming in and out from all over the world. And so what I found was that it's so many people living here that are from Chicago that just miss a piece of home. They
Mhm.
miss the food from home. It may not be exactly like, a restaurant that they, miss, but at least they can get something. And growing up as a kid, we used to go to not necessarily a particular named place, but it was called the restaurant, right? And it would be, a restaurant on every corner, almost, or, every block or whatever. And this restaurant, if you will, in these different neighborhoods would serve kind of a little bit of everything. You could get
Yeah.
a Chicago dog, you can probably get pizza, you can get pizza puffs, you can get these different types of sandwiches, you can get, just a plethora of different things, Chicago based, of course, but just a variety. And so that essentially was the vision of a Chicago bite, was just to serve a variety of different things that people miss from home.
Mm. Since we're on that, I'll give my little story. Is I was looking for Chicago style hot dogs. I was riding around one day. Somebody told me about your place when you stayed way over there when I said I need a passport to come see you because it was that far, a 45-minute drive. But I took that 45-minute drive and I remember you took my orders. I want Chicago style hot dog. That's it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So you brought it out there and I was like, I was in hog heaven. I found me a spot. And we hit it off right then and there. I started talking to you, the radio station, and all that stuff. So everybody, this is not a fly by night right here. This young lady is here to stay and do things, which going to bring me to this. Since I said how I found you, um, what are some of the menu items that people absolutely needs to try when they stop by?
So some of the staples in our top four sellers, I would say, is of course the Chicago dog, which is what brought you in. Chicago dog, the wings, the wings with the mouth sauce. That's one of my absolute favorites. That mouth sauce, it's a Chicago style barbecue sauce, but it just hits so different, right? Like it's nothing like some chicken wings smothered in Chicago style mouth sauce. And then the catfish. The
Mm,
catfish is, a staple because, in Chicago we call it crack seasoning. I call it at Chicago by Crystal Crack because it sounds good, right? My name is Crystal, so it's Crystal Crack. Um, but it's a special powder that we get shipped in from Chicago. And the last thing is the Italian beef. And my favorite is serving it open faced where it's smothered with cheese. And sometimes people say, you don't put cheese on Italian beef. And I'm like, okay, well, there's this restaurant called Albino's in Chicago. It's out west. But I mean, they have some of the best cheesy beefs that I've ever had in my life. That was the only place in Chicago that I knew served them. I love cheese. I'm a cheese
mm,
lover. And so, oftentimes you get this Italian beef sandwich and it's dipped, in the au jus. And when you pick it up, it's, too big or the juice kind of runs down your arm and
oh
it's
man.
kind of messy, but that's tradition to Chicago, right? But if you put the beef, open it up and smother it with cheese, then you're forced to kind of eat the sandwich with a fork and a knife. And
Yeah.
so that's my favorite because I don't have this juice running down my arm and I don't have to struggle to try to hold my sandwich together. And so that's essentially my favorite and the top four, I would say. So the Chicago dog, the Italian beef sandwich, the catfish, and the wings with mouth sauce.
Now, you making folks hungry this morning. I know somebody listening right now is already thinking about what they want to order. I already know
Okay.
I want to order. So, but she's closed today, y'all. So don't run out there today. Go out there on Wednesday. So let me ask you something. How important are family, culture, and community in the way you run your business?
So Essentially, when a Chicago Bite first opened, I about a year in, I was telling Guy, like, I feel like I'm not helping, because I come from a space where I was helping kids every day get through their issues of life. I was helping teachers try to help kids get through their issues of life, helping parents as an assistant principal, even as a teacher, I help so many parents on, how they can relate to their kids. So I'm just in this realm and in this world every day where I'm actually directly impacting, students' lives and families' lives, right? And so when I moved into the restaurant industry, I felt like I wasn't helping. I kept asking God, like, I feel like I'm not helping. Well, in that week, I got 3 phone calls from 3 people, 3 different people, and how I really impacted their life and how I helped them. So I asked God, like, I just want to do more of that. How can I do more of that? And so God started to bring me to the realization that I am helping through food because people love food. Food is the center of everything that you do. When you have a meeting, you don't necessarily have a meeting, a gathering of a couple people. You don't do that without food. You have something. You have donuts, you have, tacos, you have fruit, or you have a veggie tray. You have some type of, food item. And so essentially, food makes people smile. It makes them happy. It brings them together. People always say, well, what you cooking, what you bringing, what you having, so food is the centerpiece, and it just brings everybody together. One of my favorite movies growing up was Soul Food. And that movie, was the heart of the family, was, Big Mama preparing these meals and cooking for her family, and they gather at her house every Sunday. And so when she passed away, the family still gathered again, but it was surrounded by food. And it was the heartbeat. And so what God placed on my heart was to bring together family and community through food.
Wow, that's so true because I love that movie Soul Food. So, what are some of the biggest challenges you have faced as a business owner, and how have you pushed through them?
So I think essentially in the beginning was the location of where a Chicago Bite was not a very profitable, if you will, location, because I don't think I was probably in the right community for what I was trying to do or trying to convey. I spoke to someone this past week who said, I bet you they miss you now, over there, because it's the kind of thing where you never miss what you have until
Mm-hmm.
it's gone.
Oh,
And so I think the Stone Oak community, I said, the lady, she said, I bet if you go back over there now, open up another location over there, I bet you'll be well supported now because I'm pretty sure they miss what they have. I mean, what they had, now that it's gone. But now that we're in another location, I think that was essentially a challenge, was that we just weren't making enough. So we were really a struggling business. I mean, I was struggling. And the things that I did to, keep going was to just basically hold on to my faith. That's what I did, because
hmm
there were a lot of challenges over there. But there was a point in time where for 3 months I was cooking in 98-degree
yes.
the temperature read 98 degrees, and for 3 months I got up every single day and I just pushed through, drank lots of ice water and lots of, tea, but I pushed through and I held on to God's unchanging hand. Also, another challenge that I faced was that I tore my ACL in the restaurant, and I am the primary cook. I'm the head chef, if you will, but at the time the only chef and the only cook, in the business. And so that was another challenge, because I had to navigate how to actually still cook because this is my only way of income. And while I'm in a wheelchair, I was rolling around the restaurant in a wheelchair on crutches, all the things. And I just pushed through with the help of God. I never let go of his hand and my faith. I would go in there and still turn on my gospel music and fellowship and worship, with God. And so that's those are some of the challenges and how I push through those.
Boy, that is some real talk right there. Sometimes people only see the finished product, but
Hmm.
they do not always see the sacrifice, the long nights, and the determination behind it. So I
Absolutely.
know what you mean. So, what does it mean to you to create a place where people come not only for the food, but also for fellowship and connections?
That means so much to me because you have so many families now, and you really see it now at the new location where they come and they sit, and sometimes they're in there for hours, just listening to the music, vibing, and fellowshipping with one another. A while back, I had a group of ladies that came in, and they were there almost the entire day, like no kidding. They came in at about 11 or noon or so. They ordered their lunch, and then we kept, refilling their drinks and things like that throughout the course of the day. And we looked up, it was like 4 or 5 o'clock, and they start ordering dinner now to take home to their to their families. And so that is so important because you want to have a place where people can go and it feels like home. They can call their own, and they can, fellowship with one another and enjoy a good meal and in a good environment, family friendly, and that's very important because, I think I said to you the other day, like, this is what it's all about. Building
Hmm.
community, building relationships, building that community, because in this world, we're all we have in our community, our small businesses. It's what we have. It's what makes us thrive as a people.
Mm. So, what have you learned about yourself through this journey?
I learned that I am one resilient young lady. That's really what I learned. I didn't, and I also learned that I could really depend on and lean on God, and I could trust God. So I learned that, having strong faith is really important. But ultimately, I learned that, I really am strong.
Yes, you are. That is a blessing. I know the message will speak to somebody who is trying to hold on to their dreams right now, which leads to this question. What advice would you give other women, especially black women, who want to start a business and step out on faith?
I would say that if faith is all you have, you got more than enough because all you need is a mustard seed side of faith. That's all you need. And God, his word is so true. You can depend on every single word in his book. You can depend on that. You can hold on to it. And so, like I said at first, a Chicago bite was not my dream. Okay. So I dreamed to be a teacher for 10 years. I dreamed to be an assistant principal for 10 years. And I dreamed to be a principal for 10 years. And if you add that up, that's 30 years. And 30 years is a career. And after 30 years, you can retire. So I was about 13 years away from my goal and my dream of retiring. And so I asked God, like, God, why you couldn't wait 13 more years? I could have, where I could have had my retirement income, and I could have retired. But no, God had to break me all the way down so that I could be able to say that wasn't nobody but God that brought me through, that saw me through, and that sustained me through this. But, I would say that everything you need, God has put it in you. and and
Hmm.
and if you have faith and trust in him, he will nourish it, and he will bring everything out of you, that you need. So I would just say, I would just encourage them to hold on to their faith and just to keep going. Don't give up until God tells you to. Sometimes God will tell you to let it go. Sometimes God will tell you to pivot, but listen to him, because if he tells you that, that means it's something greater. That means he has something greater in store for you. That means it's something greater on the horizon. I God literally orchestrated the entire move from the Stone Oak location to the Schertz location. We closed one location and opened up another, and God kind of orchestrated everything. I mean, he not kind of, but he did. He
Yeah.
orchestrated the entire move and everything. I had no idea how I was going to do that. I was struggling. I didn't know how I was going to have the finances to provide this, but when I tell you that God provided everything, and I kept saying, like, I kept asking God for this specific amount. I kept asking him at the Stone Oak location, God, if I could just make this specific amount every day, that would help me out so much. And when I tell you that this um this new location in Schertz has, I mean, exceeded, and God will bless exceedingly and abundantly, and that's what I'm
Hmm.
experiencing at this new location. But God will do it. And so I just encourage everybody to just hold on to his hand and follow what the path that he has, because he knows it.
Okay. So tell us about the atmosphere at A Chicago Bite, especially during special events like Gospel Brunch.
So people gather. So I created this gospel brunch thinking that I was gonna have this whole like grand brunch menu and I was gonna have these great things. People come to hear the music, the gospel music, and eat soul food. So it's not even really, a brunch anymore per se, because people want those collard greens, those yams, that fried chicken, and they enjoy it. And so I still have the brunch menus, but DJ Ron plays these songs that I had never even heard of, where, like, people are actually stepping to gospel music, and he has a way of interacting with the crowd. And, sometimes he's interviewing the constituents or the customers, and, getting them to talk and share what brought them to a Chicago bite and who they're there with, and their family, and then what church home they attend, so it has really become like a really fun family atmosphere. People are playing games, they're sitting there at the table, sometimes playing spades or, connect four or whatever. So the environment is just so family friendly, and people just feel so at home. And DJ Ron just adds this, spark to this amazing event that we have every Sunday.
I'm gonna jump in there, because when she first moved over there, she told me she was moving her. I went over there and took some pictures, did all that, and people, I'm getting ready to tell you, my version sounds better. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it at that. She said, "Ron, I'm gonna do this gospel brunch, and you're gonna be my DJ." She volunteered, told me what I was doing. I didn't get a chance to say no or anything. I just showed up on that Sunday, started playing gospel music, and we talk about that to this day. Everybody asked me, "How do you get involved right now?" She volunteered me. So I put it on Dr. Cross, but that's some of the things that we do together there, and we have fun doing that. Matter of fact, this past Sunday, I played this one song, and I was feeling happy and feeling good. And Dr. Cross come across and, you know what, Ron? That song reminded of you sitting up there just having a good time. And that's what I do. I want to
I
have a good
said you
time.
enjoy your job. That's
Oh,
what I
that
said.
part. Oh, is
Yeah.
that what you said?
Mhm.
Well,
Yes,
now,
because I said he really loves what he do. When I heard the song, I said, man, I was back there making some banana pudding or something. And I was like, when I heard the song, I said, he really loves what he do.
yeah. Both of us are cut from the same mold. We're from the Chicago area. When you sat up there and said that you never went to school to cook, I never went to school to open up a radio station.
Right.
So you got two entrepreneurs in there that didn't go anywhere. I'll be honest with you, nobody taught me anything. I had a lot of mistakes,
Mm-hmm. And
but
you
you,
have a lot of mistakes.
yeah, but you learn from it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You know, there was a time that when I first met Dr. Cross, that we would talk each other, bounce off each other. 'Cause, boy, I tell you, back in the days, girl, we were talking like, I don't know, should I quit or shouldn't I quit? Should I stop? We just go back and forth. And, it was just like, I think we made it that we talk almost once a week. How you doing? Everything okay? I need to come to beat up
Mm-hmm.
anybody. We would do that just to bounce off each other, and didn't know that we were gonna be doing things together like this.
I know, but it was, I guess God in the process was building our relationship together and allowing us to get to know one another. And you used to have me on your panel discussions. We would discuss education and just different things like that. And so that was just, God's way of building us, to know what each of our strengths are and how we could better support, one another.
Yeah, and that was good because there's a lot of people that's looking up and see what we're doing, and so let's go ahead and talk about. I'm gonna bring this up because she's not gonna beat me up, but I'm gonna bring it up anyway. We were talking one day for about 2 or 3 months, and Dr. Cross started to say, Ron, I need for you to make a flyer. Okay, on what? We never discussed what was going on. We just say then a few weeks later, Ron, you got that flyer yet? I said, on what? I didn't know. That was God's way of telling us, just it's gonna come to you. It's gonna come to you. So one day I picked the phone in the car, I said, okay, what are we gonna do? We gotta come up with something. And so that's where Rebuilding Black Wall Street, one vendor at a time, came out that phone call we had.
Yes.
And
So that came from, like just the need to have more community, involvement with one another, the need to recirculate our Black dollar, in our community. And, I couldn't do it without you. The the innate sense of uh I don't know, community, I guess, that you bring to the table when you have vendor events. Everybody just sitting around, just sitting, nobody's talking, nobody's doing, but you not only play the music, but you make commercials for, all of the vendors. And then you make these, extravagant flyers to help promote and support the events. And then you go around at the events and you're talking to all of the vendors, letting everybody know what they have, what they offer, the passion in their product, and then you interview these people on your show. And then you just go out into the community. I mean, is nobody does what Ron does. Like, I mean, you're just one of a kind. And it's so important to have a person like you, in the community that does what you do. And so it was just really important for God to put us together so that we could bring the vision that God has to life.
yeah, because I remember the first one, people were coming in, and I would go back and ask you a question. How you going to design? You looked at me and said, look here, I'm back here cooking. That's your baby out there. I'm back here cooking. I'm pretty sure you could do all that. And that's all I needed for her, because I would not do anything in Dr. Cross restaurant without asking her. And because that's just me. She said, you didn't have to ask me. I said, yes, I did. That's how I was brought up. Regardless, you say it's okay, I still got to run it by you.
Yeah.
And once you went on and said that's okay, oh, that's all she needed to say. I had fun after that. I be setting up, and the most important thing about the vendors that I found out, nobody ask about behind the scenes what it takes to make their products. And their prices is based on what they need to make that product. So, yeah, they may be a little high on some things, but yet It's homemade. It's not a Walmart. It's not a Target. It's them, their passion, that they love for what they do. And I think that one time I interviewed everybody and I asked them how long it take to make this. I was blown away. 1 week, 2 weeks, 10 days. And here I am thinking that, man, they just go and put this together and that's it. No, there's a process. And I want the viewers to know the process of that going on, which
Mm-hmm.
leads me to this question right here. I know you've seen this coming. Your process back there in the restaurant on what you do, people do not see behind the scenes of what you're doing, preparing everything. All they see is that delicious food coming out hot.
Mm-hmm.
So behind the scenes, you got your order, you got all this stuff you got to do. So walk us through. I'm not going to use the word typical because after after yesterday, there's nothing typical. but go through what it takes to throw a brunch. What do you need? Where do you start at? What do you do?
Well, I would say the first thing that I need is support. And so I have one primary person who supports me in the back in the kitchen, who's there with me every day. If I'm there, she's there. And so that's the first thing that I would say, that it takes is the support because, you know, the chicken wings are not, you know, already pre-battered frozen wings that I just throw in the batter. No, they are, fresh chicken wings that we actually clean. We plucking the feathers off of them, and then we're seasoning them with special seasonings that I have put together. We are the greens, the yams, the mac and
Mhm.
cheese, the yams, I'm not just opening a can. You know, I get cases of yams a week. We go through about 2 to 3 cases of yams a week, about 3 to 4 cases of greens where they're actually being, picked. The greens are being, the stems being picked off and they're being washed 2 or 3 times, um, sometimes more. And the macaroni, the noodles are being boiled. Nothing's coming out of a bag, besides the shredded cheese. And sometimes, I'm getting a block of cheese and shredding it to make the mac and cheese. So, it just takes a lot of preparation and, and time really to
Mhm.
produce a brunch like this.
Mm. And I tell you what, I got to the point. I don't tell everybody now. This is the best one right here. I say I tasted everything in there. All the foods is a go-to. Depends on what you want to eat.
Yeah.
Because I brag about it all the time. I get up there, I let them know what's going on, what the cost is, and all that stuff. And I be messing with Dr. Cross. Say, what we got for dessert back there? And she'll tell me. But she told me about these grapes. What are them grapes called again?
Taffy apple grapes.
And I said, what the heck is a taffy apple grape? And about the second weekend, I said, what is it? And so yesterday, she said, well, you want to try one? I said, no, I'm good. And then I get back there, and it was like, Ron, if you try one, everybody else can have one. If you don't, then nobody gets one. I said, I guess y'all ain't getting one. But I turned around and tried it. It is a unique, different taste. I have never tasted that before. So tell us about that, because each grape is hand done. There's no body factory stuff in it. It's stuff by hand, each grape.
So you never had a taffy apple, a
I had a
caramel
taffy
apple?
apple. Yeah.
So you don't think it tastes like a taffy apple?
It had some taste of it, but the what you call it, the grape was so juicy. The juice just ooh.
Well, that's because the season for grapes right now, they're so huge. I
Yes.
guess I guess they've had a lot of time to stay on the vine. But the grapes are so huge. All the time we don't get those big grapes. They're not always that big. But so essentially, a taffy apple grape is a product that I saw in a soul food restaurant in Chicago. Okay. So there was a soul food restaurant called oh man, I forgot the name of it. It was on 83rd and Ashland. Man, but I always used to say, like, if I had a restaurant, I want my restaurant to be like this. Like, I always
Mm,
say that. And they would have a line out the door, like, especially on Sundays, they would have a line out the door for their soul food. And when you get, so you would go through the line basically, and you pick, you choose your meat and then you choose your two sides.
yeah.
And they would, put it up in front of you, but all of their food was just out, like in a heater in the warmers. And then when you got to the end, then you would choose your dessert. And they had those taffy apple grapes in this little cup,
Mm.
like $5 for a little cup, and you only got like 12 grapes in there. And so I went home and I was like, I'm gonna make these grapes because they are so good, and I'm tired of only getting 12 of them. And I wanted to make them. And so I did. I went home and I figured out how to make those grapes, and they were sitting on the counter. And I went upstairs to do something. I came back downstairs and they were all gone. The kids had ate them all up, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And it was like, "Mama, what are those things? They are so good." I'm like, "Those are taffy apple grapes," and they were like, "So basically, it's a grape and it's dipped in the caramel or the white chocolate, whatever you want to like dip it in. I'm not gonna tell my secret, but you dip it and then it's dipped in a peanut. And sometimes, I've used almonds for the kids. I use all types of stuff, but use almonds or peanuts, but you just basically take the grape, you dip it, and then you dip it in whatever peanut or almond you want, or whatever nut you want to dip it in. And you let it dry, you let it sit and cool, and then you eat it. And it's like a poppable apple, because the caramel
Mm.
apples or the taffy apple is so hard to eat, or sometimes you have to cut it up in like 12 different ways or whatever in order to eat them. But this is like a poppable snack that you can have. It's like a poppable dessert.
Okay. Since we're on dessert, we're going to hit a subject that's sore to me. That sweet potato pie contest that we had.
Yeah.
I got beat. And I was good. I tried her pie. It was all right. It was good. But I said something one time that I'd never seen Dr. Cross snap her head back so fast on what I said. Do you remember what I said?
That you was gonna steal my pie.
Yeah, that part. I told her what everybody was around listening. I said, "How many sweet potato pies you got?" I got one. I said, "Let me have that one." And before, not thinking, it just came out of my mouth. I'm gonna take that home and I'm gonna freeze it. And then we have the sweet potato pie contest next year. I'm gonna take it out and heat it up and put it right here. She looked at me. She said, "I know you didn't say that," and I did. So she said, "If you put it out there, it's a win-win situation for me." I wasn't looking at it like that. I was looking at they picked my pie.
And if they pick your pie, it's my pie, and I'm gonna win.
So those are some things that we do out there to keep things going. And people would came out of nowhere. They said, "We just want to come and taste sweet potato pie." It was a
They,
week. It was a week before Thanksgiving, and
Mhm.
and everybody's raising. I won't be a judge. I said, "You can't be a judge. You can't be a judge because you know her." But it didn't work, did it?
No, it didn't work. They didn't know whose pie they was eating anyway, so
Yeah,
because it was orchestrated so well.
yeah. Who's back there cutting that pie up?
I want to say it was what's her name?
A
I can't.
Kiana.
Kiana, yeah.
Yeah, she was back there cutting it up and everything. And I said, "Are you sure you didn't get the numbers mixed up when the contest was over with?" Ron, would I do something like that? Yes. So, what's in the future for what are you looking to do with the restaurant and the community?
Oh, that's a good question. So, you know, honestly, I don't know how, and I like. I used to tell people I don't have a plan for my life anymore because obviously my plan, didn't work out. God has different plans. I never would have
Hmm.
imagined that, even this Black Wall Street event that we have, once or twice a month, you know, we don't have to look for vendors. We don't have to beg people to come out to be a vendor. We have not like we have not gone in search of vendors, and our vendor spots fill up so fast. Like this event coming up April 25th, I think we had all of the vendors like 2 to 3 weeks prior.
Hmm.
And just so happen, even when like a vendor drops out, they can't make it or whatever, we've been able, I was able to fill the spots. Two vendors dropped out, they couldn't make it. And I was able to fill those two spots within a matter of like an hour or so without
Yes.
even asking anybody. Like we never even put it out there. It's just so happened that people are seeing a flyer and they're just emailing, how can we be a part of this event? And and so I think I would like to essentially see, of course, rebuilding Black Wall Street grow. I would like us to actually rebuild Black Wall Street, like where
Yeah.
we have 35 blocks of, Black vendors or Black businesses, not even vendors anymore, but,
Hmm.
just everybody has their own business on a block, a central location where we can go to get everything that we need. That's the goal for rebuilding Black Wall Street, is that we actually have a Wall Street that we can go to, right? Um, but also, I could see a Chicago bite being all over the world, honestly. I don't know how that's gonna happen. I don't know how that's gonna get done, but God knows,
Yes.
not me. And so I'm just the vessel that will, carry his vision out. And I also, I really want, I have two products in particular. I know you talk about my sweet potato pie, all the time. That could be a product too, but one of the products that's really near and dear to me is my peach cobbler. And it's
Yes.
near and it's dear to me because I started making peach cobbler for my sister. And then my dad, talk about like mistakes and mishaps, or how to make things better. When you talked about how you've made so many mistakes with your business and learning how to, be the great radio host that you are, and, the great community advocate that you are. And you're so amazing with that microphone and getting people to, to talk and to open up and to, you know, to share about themselves and who they are. It takes a really, you have to have, I don't know, it takes really something really special to have that. And that's what you have, Rod.
Thank
And
you.
so I will say that this peach cobbler, I was making it. And then one day I made it, and my dad said, what did you do this time? Like, cause this crust it's very flaky and it's exactly how I
Hmm.
like it. And it's like, and so I was like, know exactly what I did. So, now, I've perfected it, right? And I would love to share that peach cobbler with the world. And then there's another product that I would also love to share with the world, and that's that open face Italian beef. I would love to share that with.
Oh, yes. Mm-mm-mm. See, I'm hungry already, and you're closed. Uh, um, with all that going on, and I'm just sitting here just thinking of things could be, because I came across and about some things. Right now, you said peach cobbler. Maybe we have a peach cobbler weekend, and just peach cobbler there. And we talked about hairstyle. Your daughter brought this up. My new granddaughter brought this up. She said, Mr. Ron, one time I had my hair, it was like a bow and everything in there with the braids and everything. I said, really? My mind started wondering already. Why don't we have a contest like that? had people come over with different styles with their braids and, what they can make out of it. A bow, a butterfly, whatever. See, those are things that you could do that's unique.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the best thing about Chicago Bite.
Yes.
Everything there is unique. It's
Mm-hmm.
different. It's not the staple restaurant.
Yeah.
You may be coming there one day. I may be there playing old school R&B. And then Sunday you hearing gospel. And
Right.
last Sunday I picked up a lot of new gospel music. Was playing that last Sunday. But
Yeah.
but your place being so unique that you could adapt to almost anything that comes your way. But the best thing I like about it is when we sit down and talk, we put our minds together and it's a yes or no. If one says I don't know, then we probably won't move forward on it. But it's
Right.
back there. It's back there in the background. It'd be a time when God say it's time for y'all to move on this.
Right. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that's why I look for. I look for Him saying that. We
Yeah.
could we could talk all we want, but when God says it's time for y'all to move and do this, okay, I'm
Kind of.
moving.
Yeah. And
And,
that's what I love. That's what I love too, that we can be led by the Holy Spirit,
hmm
allow him to move us, And that's what makes us a dynamic duo.
and somebody always coming there. Are you the owner? I said no. She's back there. She's back there. But she will also let you know that I am always looking around.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I am a protector too out there. So I
Absolutely.
make sure nothing's going on out there, nothing crazy. Somebody raise their voice, I'm dropping what I'm doing. I could go with Humpty Dance, drop what you're doing, because I'm about to ruin the image and style that you used to. But I do that because Phil, that's my role.
Right.
There
Absolutely.
is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's my role to make sure everything is good there. And
Absolutely.
God is making sure too, because He haven't sent no riffraff in there yet.
But that's why I say that, God could not have made a better collaboration. I could not do it without you.
Oh, thank you. I couldn't do it without you either, because let me tell you something about Dr. Cross here. Yesterday she asked me, "Did I give you your catfish yesterday?" I want to say no so bad. I said, "Yes, you did," because she remembered things. She said, "You taking anything home today?" And I said, "No, I'm good. I'm good." When I get home, my wife said, "You didn't bring nothing home?" I said, "Oh, you didn't text me and ask me." I don't have to do that. I said, "Oh, I got you and Dr. Cross on my case. I guess I better listen to y'all ladies."
I'm gonna have to start making sure. I'm just gonna put the bag in the window with your name on it.
But she really takes care of me to make sure. And if it's something going on at the restaurant, I tell, "Oh, I'll be by there, take care of that." And I
I
go over there and I
appreciate
take
it.
care of it. I still got to hang that banner. That's on my list. But
Yeah.
anything like that save time and money, she don't have to ask even twice.
Right.
And I'm there just to help out because that's what I'm there for.
Hmm.
And in return, I had an interview on a Monday, and I asked her again, "Is it okay for me to come and do an interview?" She said, "My casa is your casa." I said, "Okay, but I'm asking anyway." But and that's community right there.
Hmm.
Between us two, that's community right there. And we talk to
Hmm.
people outside the community to let them know what's going on. Whenever I'm somewhere, I'm bragging about Dr. Cross Restaurant.
And the same here because I was in a meeting today and they were asking about, marketing, and they were asking about, how we would, get the meeting out, information out about the event that we're having on the 27th of June. And I was telling them, this Mr. Ron, he has his own radio station. He'll make flyers. He'll make radio broadcasting uh, what is those things
Spots, radio
called?
spots.
The radio spots, the advertising, the commercials, all of those things. I'm like, Mr. Ron is a great person. He has his own in his black owned radio station, here, San Antonio based. Like, so I'm always, promoting WSAN radio and DJ Ron.
And see, and that's how we get along, because we make sure we take care of each other, no matter
Absolutely.
what. I can't wait till your help get down here. I'm about as happy as you are when he gets down here, because the brother is smooth. I like him, and you know, with two brothers in the house, nobody gonna start anything.
No, I'm gonna tell him you said that too. Mr. Kimmy actually told him yesterday, everybody miss you, because even Zach asked about him, like, when is Mr. Nick coming?
Yeah, because we talked one time. We never really talked. We talked for a little bit, about 5 or 10 minutes, and the brother got himself together. So I cannot wait when that day happens, because good things is coming your way, Dr. Cross.
Thank
You
you.
may not know it, but it's coming your way. As soon as that brother walk in that door and he's here, you're gonna see blessings coming out of nowhere for you. You think you busy now. Let me go back and talk about yesterday. So, everybody, I'm sitting there playing my music. Of course, I get on and talk about we're Facebook, doing this, doing that. And there was like two or three people in there. And then all of a sudden, somebody opened up that door. That whole row tables of 15 people or more was filled up. Then another group came in. Then another group come in. And sometimes I go and, Dr. Cross, uh, we got a full table out there. We got this. We got. I put a bug in their ear, let her know we got people in here. And it was one time. I forget when it was. I don't know if it was the gospel brunch or the Black Friday one, Black Wall Street. I forget which one it was, but I have never ever seen that plate so packed, and your orders is flying out left and right.
Yeah.
Remember that?
It's been a couple times where
Yeah.
it's been like that. The one that I remember too is I think it was the first or the second Black Wall Street, but I mean it was so busy all day long. The orders didn't stop; they kept coming and coming and coming, and it was so busy. And then I think it was that following Sunday, like the very next day, the line was so long it made it. It was all the way to the patio
Mm-hmm.
outside. That's outside to the to the end of the patio.
No, no. I remember what day it was now. It was one Sunday.
Hmm.
It was Super Bowl Sunday.
Oh, that's
You,
the Sunday you
yeah,
talking about.
yeah, you
Oh,
had pans of fish and chicken flying out there like they had wings. And they were
yeah,
just going on and on. And then you were cooking for people on the inside. They were coming in. People was getting, I'm serious, 3 or 4 trays.
yeah,
Of a matter of fact, this one guy said, "What you got left, I'll take it."
yes,
But see, but those are the situations that even those even though you're working real hard back there, once it's all over and the dust settle, you sit back and say, "Oh, I made it."
yeah, yeah.
And almost you ran out some food. You ran out of pork chops and you had a
Pork
little bit of
chops and
chicken.
catfish.
Yeah, that's what it
Yeah.
was.
And I think I had the only chicken I had was I didn't have my normal wings. I didn't have any more wings. All I had was the wingettes. Those little
Yeah.
wingettes. I had ran out of almost everything.
Oh, that was something else. But see, and that's what it's all about. So when your man get down here, prepare for more of that to happen because I see it coming. And
Oh, thank
and then
you.
sometimes Dr. Cross, if the crowd is good on Sunday, and I usually end at 3, but if the place is packed, I'll stay. She don't even have to
Uh-huh,
ask.
you do.
I'll just
And
stay.
but you see, the reason though that I said you love what you do, you know what I mean? Because like you're like, I'm just enjoying myself so much that I'm gonna hang around out here a little bit longer, you know? And you say that, more than one time, you've said that because the environment is just so fun, and but it's because of
Hmm.
what you do, I mean, of course, I play a part in it because if the food wasn't good, then people wouldn't be coming up in there. But, but it's just that because it's just the vibe that we've created so much in there, Mr.
Hmm.
Ron, and you just do a phenomenal job.
She watched me one day. Some church song came on. I stood up. I got a chair. I stood up. I was just going to town, and she just looked at me like, "Oh, you feeling good over there?" I said, "Yes, I am."
Yeah.
It was before we leave. It was one couple. I'm gonna bring this up.
Oh,
They
yes.
came out of Houston, and they said we came up here because we seen you on I did some Ken's TV came out and interviewed me. Said
Oh,
we
yeah.
Yeah, I said we seen the interview. So you came all the way up here to see me? She said, nah, it's our anniversary and we're going to San Antonio. But I told my husband, let's stop by there, let's do some music and let's eat. See, they
Yeah,
got there early and I said they
they
got there at
do.
10:45. I said, we don't
Mhm.
open till 11. You know, they went out there in their car and waited till 11 o'clock and came in.
Yep, they did.
It was their anniversary.
And they enjoyed it too. They really enjoyed it. I remember that couple too. They enjoyed the music, the food. They stayed
Hmm.
in quite a bit too.
Yep,
Yeah.
and stuff. I said, you know, you can always slide back here when you go back to Houston and pick up something to go.
Yeah.
I was telling her that. I said, who's driving? He said, if we pick up something to go, she's driving because I'm going to be eating. She said,
Right.
So, all right, in closing, Dr. Cross, you're out there, Schertz, Texas now.
Yes,
And everybody enjoy you out there. That main street is a good street to be on because there's a lot of business on that main drag.
it is.
And for you to come over there and open up shop, and people coming in, and I love the first timers that come in there. And I also love when you come out that kitchen, even though you're so busy, you come out and you talk to the customers. You don't see that all the time.
Yeah.
So when you come out and do all that, you are reinforcing community when you
Yeah.
come out there and let them know what's going on. So in closing, what do you want people to know? This is going to be a loaded question, okay?
Okay.
What do you want people to know that they don't know about you?
Um, I'm a fighter and I got a little feistiness in me. And sometimes people think, oh, she's so nice, or oh, she's so this. But if you press them buttons, I'm still a girl from the south side of Chicago.
Ooh.
And so I think and I feel like, maybe people should also know that God ain't done with me yet.
He sure isn't. What was that one thing I told you? I said, Krystal, there's one thing people got to realize. Please don't let the Chicago come out because it's hard to put it back in the bottle.
Yes. Yeah.
But I don't want to reach that point. All right. So, in closing, tell us how to get a hold of you, and your website and all that good stuff.
All right. So we are a Chicago Bite. We're located 820 Main Street in Schertz, Texas. Phone number is area code 210-481-4200. Our email address is a Chicago Bite at gmail.com. We are also on all social media handles. So you can find us at a Chicago Bite on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok. We are on TikTok as well. So you can find us on all those social media handles. And we hope to see you all soon.
All right. Thank you for taking time out today, Dr. Cross. I know it's your day off. I know you got things to do. I do too, like take a nap.
My mother told me that. She said, you get to take a nap today. I said, no. I had a meeting at 10 and then this
Oh,
interview at 11. I think I have another meeting. Somebody was just texting me, wanting to meet this afternoon. So, yeah, I'm
yeah.
pretty
Well, you
busy.
stay busy. That's what it is. Own your own place because you got to generate your own business. You got to
Yeah.
get out to let everybody know that you're there. And we appreciate everything you're doing, Dr. Cross. And I want to say thank you again for inviting me into your restaurant, into your family. That means a lot to me to be there with you and working together.
Oh, thank you. It means a lot that you accepted the voluntold.
Oh, I guess I'm gonna hear that all the time from you now, Ron. Go and do that. I finally told you to do it.
Right?
Yeah. All right. Well, you take care, young lady, and we appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much, Ryan.
All right.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you for tuning in to WSAN Radio. Catch us on our YouTube channel, WSAN Radio SA. Subscribe to our channel and hit that notification button.